the thing that really stood out for me was you got 3 SEOs there who were not just asking easy questions. We could have gone harder, yeah, but let's face it, we want to ask the questions we're going to get answers to.
Right.
Be great to ask some questions that no way can they answer, but what's the point of that? We're wasting everybody's time. We asked some tough questions, and the only noticeable disagreement in the whole hangout was 2 of the SEOs. Eric and Rand disagreed over the semantics of one bit, and it was only a semantic disagreement, and otherwise I thought that was such a respectful discussion.
It was like, I got out of it and I was like, wow, that was like one of the best conversations I have heard in a long time. I enjoyed it.
It really was a damn good one, yeah.
Which conversation?
The Google Q&A.
Drop the link in there, Dave. Do you have it?
I'll dig it up after. Yeah, it's a Google Q&A with Rand, Eric, Ammon, and what was his name? Oh, Zubler.
Andre.
Andre, yes.
Andrew,
yeah, that's good. The click data thing was funny when Rand and Eric were going, you know, with the click data, is click data used, and each of them had different experiments, and I thought that section was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Bill was there in spirit, of course, because I was still asking his questions, and you know, one of the main questions that people liked was one of Bill's.
And Bill is the first person to plus my share of it too. Bill's on the ball. I was like, shouldn't you be sleeping and getting ready for your flight? He's a sweetheart.
He was traveling at the actual time we were on. So.
yeah, he was on his way back across. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that
he's holding up.
I thought that whole conversation was very interesting. You could see I didn't expect to get an answer to the would knowing the first 2. You know, all right, we got a generic answer. But I think there's still value in this because I think a hell of a lot of web devs have missed the fact that up till now there is a triangle. You know, we used to have the 2 pillars. It's either links or it's content or it's a mixture of both. And now more people are understanding, well, yeah, those are 2 inputs, but the actual query is a vital input itself. Now that seems really obvious, but people
well, it's just like content is. You know, I was having a bit of a laugh with Jonathan Allen on Twitter about it because it was like, you know, content is an important thing. So apparently, folks, you need actual content on your page if you'd like it to rank. Content is important.
Yeah, the only concern I had was the fact that there will be a lot of people out there that will jump on the fact that he grouped RankBrain as a ranking factor. Therefore, you can build your page to RankBrain, and you know, there's going to be people that are trying to pull that wagon. That's just the wrong way to go about it. But it was a great show, it really was.
Apparently there's already the first wave of link spammers sending out emails saying, look, Google have said links are really important. They're the first thing they mentioned. So you can understand why, you know, Andrea and people like have to be so cautious about what they say. So please, anyone that is doing that,
I've heard RankBrain services too. You know, like people, we do RankBrain optimization. Apparently, people are doing that already.
Yeah, how exactly are they optimizing for that? They're going around the world teaching everybody how to search differently. Because that's it.
Yes,
that's all you can do.
We're gonna optimize your site for extremely long tail useless queries that won't really get you any revenue.
Well, even then, it's not going to help if Google is the whole point of RankBrain is it's understanding the query. It's taking those useless queries that you used to be able to build a page to automatically rank for, because there was almost no competition, and now there is competition because everything that means the same is going to be in those results.
Yeah.
So you can't optimize for RankBrain unless what you're doing is training people to make a different kind of query in the first place.
Well, Ammon, not to disagree, but couldn't you? The optimization would come in the analysis of the query space rather than the analysis of the keywords. Meaning, if there's no knowledge panel or answer box, and you have an opportunity to do that or can make that happen, that's part of RankBrain. Or at least it's part of Hummingbird, which is attached to that. So that's kind of, you know, pushing it out there. But if you are going to optimize for it, that's how I would do it. Actually, that's what I'm doing now is, you know, but that's not new either because I've done SERP analysis. How long, David? 22 years.
Yeah, but that's another part that was very interesting about content that I think a lot of people miss is, of course, when we were talking about the reason that spam can rank in some other countries much easier. Because Google looks at content now to train its algorithms, what's in the index actually affects what's going to come out. And I don't just mean that if there's 100 spam pages and 10 good ones, you're going to be lucky if the whole of 10 results are going to be the good ones. I'm saying that the actual language processing itself is dependent on the other documents that are in the index. If lots of them are poor translations, very bad grammar, then Google's actually being trained to be more tolerant of poor translations and bad grammar.
Yes.
Unfortunate.
It's a bit like the hijacking of Microsoft's Twitter bot. You know, it's funny how fast
yeah,
you can...
that went well, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. But it's exactly like that. You know, you can very quickly put these things off if you know where to put the training data. And of course, when the corpus of documents in a language is that much smaller, then just a few thousand pages can make a difference.
Well, also, there's only 10 documents on that subject in that language, and 8 of them are spam. They're going to be there regardless, because Google wants at least 10 results.
The thing about it is, it also applies to, you get, like, say, legal information or architectural information. You know, when you're talking about bad grammar, it also works that way when you're talking about topics that are very specifically to an industry and you're asking a question. Google goes through that and reads it and sees it in the same way. So I don't know whether it's poor grammar per se, as they're recognizing the language of a particular, you know, what's available, and maybe they're giving it a gradient when it's in English of being, you know, of a grammar element. But when you get to legal documents and things like that, they expect that googly-goo.
Well, and part of that is you're going to have regional dialects that are going to be different. And so pronunciation is going to be different. And where people use particular terms or what verbs they put in front of nouns preceding adjectives is going to be different based on regional dialects.
Right, and so much of this, as well as Hummingbird, has got to be going towards the eventual voice search, and that's where that kind of stuff, and accents and dialects and, you know, regional differences are going to come into play. You know, down where Frank is, you know, mate is a friend. Up where I live, it's my wife. So.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's, you know, they're going to have to be able to pull all of that. And even within the U.S., where you've got different names for soda or barbecue and things like that. They're going to have to recognize if someone's saying, you know, grilling and barbecuing from different parts of the U.S. to give that, you know that that's a synonym or however they're qualifying that. I'm not a semantics guy, so I don't know what that term is.
You know, you touched on something. You mentioned something yesterday, Dave, in that chat we were in, that I think is important that a lot of people are missing. You can't build your page around RankBrain, but my other hat with the content generation is blessed with this thing, because it allows your writers now to provide much more natural content to build it to the readers and not have to wonder if the search engines are capable of finding it. It makes context much more easy to determine. Every little bit that those algos learn improves the ability to put decent content into the search.
Yeah, I was saying to you, it's like Bruce Lee and Bruce Lee and Enter Dragon, the art of fighting without fighting. So yeah, targeting is not targeting. Being natural with content and how you're speaking and what concepts you're trying to solidify around, instead of trying to get into keywords and targeting phrases and things of that nature. All right, so anybody catch this one this week?
I just saw that, but what, are they resurfacing a Jim Boykin story?
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, where's this one from? The local search forum, apparently. It's a thread. Some character kept all of his sites, and Doc, weren't we talking about this one yesterday, I think? In the photo chat.
I had everything on one Google Analytics account, and
it was Search Console. It was Search Console, not Google Analytics. But yeah, he kept them all in one account on Search Console.
Yeah, they found out that penalties can be contagious.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's good thinking.
He did something that got the account banned, and because it got the account banned, and he'd put all of them on that one account, the ban hit them all.
Yeah. You got it.
And he was surprised by that.
That's kind of screwed up, because you've got a few. If you're an agency, you should be able to just go back and say, hey, I'm an agency. I'm keeping an eye on these clients' websites. One of my clients obviously did something rogue. Why are you penalizing the other 59?
They're not. They're penalizing him. The trouble is that
Yeah.
Google do a lot of things at an account level. If you tie lots of different things to one account, you are doing worse than tying your shoelaces together and then trying to go for a run. It's a bad idea. It was obviously a bad idea, and it's no good blaming Google for it. It's not like nobody ever knew that they closed accounts if there was suspicious activity. In fact, it only has to be suspicious for them to suspend an account.
Yeah, no, I understand both ways, but it's like I generally don't take control. I just get added to people's analytics and their webmaster tools as a as a user generally if I need to.
Yeah, again, I gotta take this board to them, because if you're gonna say that happens, then I'd be getting shit with when I used to do forensic all the time. All I had in my Search Console is clients that have been penalized.
Yeah.
So it's not like it bleeds over to my site and other things. That never happened. I didn't get a manual because my Search Console is full of people with manuals. So you got to think there's something more to it. That whatever tactic the one got in trouble for, he was using that same tactic for all of them. So they just had a nice list of that and found them.
That makes sense to me. The chances of 60. And only one of them having bad stuff in it, I don't see Google doing that. I see them seeing he did the same thing on all 60. That's what I think.
I agree, Terry, because when I get a new forensic client, the first thing I ask for is access to their GA and Search Console, and I start going through there. So, I've never had an issue. So I don't see any problem there. That was somebody that was playing the same game.
Yeah, because somebody was giving advice that you should never keep all your clients in one Search Console. Well, if you're doing dodgy shit, you probably don't want to.
The interesting thing is, mate, if you click at the bottom of that Search Engine Roundtable piece that goes to the Google help, they go, first off, you should be listed as a manager for all accounts, not as owner. So maybe because he was listed as the owner, one in, all in.
Maybe. Even that would seem unlikely to me, but we never know.
Yeah, if it was all one owner, oh yeah, I'd hit them all if I was on the spam team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're playing Google, mate.
If Whois is showing everybody as the same owner for all of them, then you're history. You're toast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me that it was the Google My Business collective, because it's in SEO terms, these are complete newbies. You know, they've only been around a couple of years. There's a couple of the people who've been doing marketing longer, but they were not doing SEO, and they've kind of used Google Plus as their original method to get into search, and as we all know, that mostly only gets you into personalized search. They've been going into maps, but they know nothing more about local really than maps and what they've picked up in the last year or so, and that doesn't make you experienced enough to be doing this for a living. You are going to have mistakes like this.
There was another, speaking of spammy stuff, there was another article which I can't even show you now, but because it's not there anymore. Search Engine Journal was reporting that Airbnb got burned because of some widgets. First off, when I saw it, I was like, "What year is this?" I was like, you know, when people still doing it. But the funny part was, is the article on Search Engine Journal disappeared subsequently within an hour or two, and they were explaining on Facebook or somewhere like that. One of the their representatives said that they have new editorial guidelines that they don't out anybody.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
I know Dennis, and the life of me can't pronounce his last name, who's now over at Fanatics, who was over at Airbnb. Yeah, I'm sure it could have just been old stuff. You know, those widgets could have been old, and they just finally got found, and they ran into some problem. Or else the new guy that took over Dennis's job just doesn't, you know, is locked in 2008 or whenever.
Even longer. I don't know. Widget spam is pretty old, man. It's like 10 years old. Jesus.
But even I remember Matt Cutts when he came out. You know, so long as the link in the widget
is the company name, brand name, the brand or company name, that it should be okay. Yeah.
And if it goes,
the only problem.
It's not like you can put a widget in and then link to a Viagra site. If it's a mortgage thing, it should link to something that's related to the it's the relevancy thing.
Yeah, I agree. So I think the same. They had the same advice with infographics when those were getting big. So
yeah.
Also, an infographic about Viagra gets even bigger and stays that way.
Now, have any of you guys
It lasts longer than 4 hours.
Are any of you guys playing with Jason Duke's new expired domain thing? Seems somewhat interesting.
No, what is it?
It's the.domain.name, and basically it's using Majestic and a few other things so that when they fall off, it'll actually show you all the links that are attached to it, of the domain. So you can put in a keyword, to search for particular, expired domains. You can have a look at the rank trust of the various inbound links and things that it has. It's a clever tool. I tell you, I came across one for a mortgage guy that I could buy the domain for $12, and it had like 100 decent, not great, but decent inbound links already, and they were still there. I went and checked some of the pages. The content itself was still cached in Google. So I mean, that's jumping on it when they first roll off of expire. It's a clever new way. And I shared it on Facebook. I said, here's an easy link building tool.
Yeah.
I think, well, because you're at the one point you're kind of taking on somebody's reputation unknown, and this kind of stuff worries me because you don't know what they've done. You don't know how much they've screwed anybody. Are they under indictment of the SEC? Are they a mortgage company that's been sued by everybody, and now they've taken down their website to disappear, and you just popped up, and so your phones are going to light up with 10,000 pissed off people because they ripped off a bunch of people?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? I think the E in the EAT and your brand is more important than a domain name that had a bunch of good inbound links. I think it's just you're not looking at it from a business perspective. You're looking at it from links or everything in SEO, and so I'm going to buy a domain name that had a ton of links and throwing out any kind of knowledge or logic with that. So that's my.
Well, it also offers, interestingly, it also offers the ability to recreate the old website. So I mean, you could literally, and then you could just drop some of your own links.
So what? It pulls it from the web archive, I'm guessing. Or?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but I mean, would you think there's a reason the website's down? A, they went out of business. B, they didn't pay their bills. You know, I mean, that kind of, there's a reason. If you're a business and you forget to renew your domain name, you're either an idiot or there's a reason, right?
Steve, it's primarily a link juice tapping system that's been in use for some time. Google does still have a bit of a vulnerability to it because the links persist, and you know, it doesn't seem to discount them all, especially when reliable sources don't update their links. And all they're doing is, it's the same thing people used to do with expiring high PageRank expired domains. You usually just redirect. All you're after is the link juice. You just want to either put a couple of links on there, you use Web Archive to put the old site back as it last was and put a couple of your own links in, or you simply redirect it and 301 the juice over to yourself. And you know, it's been not a high-end technique, but it's very quick, and this tool makes it even quicker.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's automating it. It took a little bit more work previously, but it has been being done. You know, I bought old domains and did the exact same thing. And, you know, like you said, it used to be you'd be looking for the PR for various, you know, expired domains just to grab them quick and try and, you know, send some of that Google magic back to you or whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah.
I would think that it would be wise for Google to automatically discount links that are redirected from a site that is not bound by relevance or common ownership, you know, that's not obvious. Because there is a lot of abuse still around that.
The point is, Doc, that they do try and find relevant sites. You find expired domains within your topic area, so that still wouldn't stop it.
No, it wouldn't stop at all by any means, but there are an awful lot of people that will go out there and buy a totally unrelated site, you know, rookies that are doing this and selling the service to boot and getting people hammered, but making good bank on it. So, you know, I would love to see that just have its teeth pulled entirely.
But that hasn't really worked for a while.
Well, not as well as it used to, for sure, but there's still people out there that live and die by keyword density and link juice and all those good things, yeah.
But hey, Google, as you know, the initial conversation that I obviously came in late on, content and links are sitting right up there, top two. So I mean, links still have value wherever you can find them, and you know, link building is becoming, you know, it's tougher than it used to be.
Yes.
For quality.
The problem is that so many SEOs still think that, you know, there's one rule. Google has to do everything the same. And where they got that from, I do not know, because Google was founded on PageRank. PageRank was about weighting links differently. Every link has its own unique value that's not the same as any other link. That's the core of Google. This goes back to 1998. And yet, people still think, oh, well, it's just a measure of PageRank. Well, Google have had almost 20 years since then to get even more selective about links. And if you think that the only weighting factor on links is PageRank, what planet have you been living on for the last 16 years?
All right, well, speaking of PageRank and stuff, what about this one, folks?
They always could.
302s. I know, obviously 301s did, but I just never seen a lot of discussion about 302s before. So.
The problem with 302s originally was we knew both could pass PageRank a little. It's dependent. It's how Google decides to do it, and it takes longer because Google, if it sees a 302 in place for a long time, because there are so many misdone 301s, Google is able to apply its own logic to this. There are also times when it won't count the 301.
They had said, in fact, that they might decide to treat a 302 as though it were a 301.
Yeah.
They said that years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with what Eamon was saying. I think if you've done 302s and they're there as 301s, over time, and you've got that, you know, glaring error, it's a weighting factor. It's like, okay, if this is, you know, inaccurate, they're doing this wrong, there's possibilities that, you know, other elements shouldn't be given, you know, as high authority as someone that's doing all the right things.
Yeah, I can't remember, like 302s has been at the top of one of my list for a long time, because number one, if they were, I didn't really believe that they were passing PageRank for the simple reason that when Google released rel equals no follow, guys like me said, I don't want to use that, you got to have another way to do it. And Matt Cutt said straight up, use a 302, because that is a workaround for not using rel equals no follow. And when I read that John had said that they were, I thought again, they're screwing us around again, because I used to use forms in a lot of navigation to control how the spidered the site. I didn't want it, you know, going, you know, it was a way to block a path. Google has pretty well eliminated every one of those. But also, people have to realize when you do an internal redirect, for instance, somebody fills in a form, you want to redirect them to the thank you page, that is a 302, unless you can put the 301, because you got to put that redirect in the buffer. You can't put it in the head. So it's got to be before the head of the document is rendered. So some 302s should pass PR because they're a link. They're basically a link between two pages.
Terry, it's one of those things. It's we're purists and we like things to be done properly. There's a proper way of doing this, and I'm right with you there. But right now, the accessibility guys are playing the world's smallest violin to us because they believe that, you know, good valid code should be a ranking signal for years, and we said why? You know, Google wants to be able to access pages, and it wants to be able to access pages by people that aren't necessarily webmasters and don't necessarily know how to set up all their HTTP header codes properly. So, you know, then they're laughing up their sleeves at us, right?
Yeah, but you know what I was thinking. And this that John just mentioned this recently, right? Now they're using machine learning so much. Google's had the biggest shortener, free shortener that everyone's been using, and they changed it from a 301 to a 302 years ago. That's when I quit using it because, hey, it's not passing any juice anymore. I'm thinking they use machine learning on that data set to learn when they should be giving PR to 302s and not. It's a possibility. I'm not saying they're doing it, but it makes sense that now they have the data set in order to look at that and say, can we do that?
Do you know, I can actually explain to you part of the reason that change with the Google shortener happened. And it's simply that some people were starting to basically look for those old redirects, take the page and do a bait and switch. I get the links to their Google link when it was one form of content and then change the content. And those links still pointed to the same URL and it was no longer valid. So putting in the 302 saying that the Google link was the actual thing and we're not so sure about what it leads to was the right move.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Like I said, it's all a guessing game, right? Trying to put the piece of the puzzle together, trying to understand where they're using this stuff, right? But I kind of thought that makes sense. You know, a lot of things that Google couldn't do a few years ago, they can now smooth that data out just because of the machine learning. That's evident from the stuff that that Dave published the other day that, you know, they've seen the more data we can give this machine learning, it can smooth out a lot of stuff.
What about no index but follow pages? What's coming off of the no index page? Anything?
That's always been a tricky one. Again, it's one of those ones that can change a lot. Now, I can go right back in history and tell you that Alta Vista used to look at when this was done with you know, the meta tags, no index but follow, it would completely ignore the page.
Yep.
If you don't want it indexed, we're not going to index it, and that includes the links on it. Technically, if you've got a no index, it shouldn't be indexing the links. However, they will use it for discovery.
Well, that's because you had no follow, which was spider stop here. And so then your spider run would quit, and that's why they ended up no index follow. I don't want the page index, but I want you to go ahead and follow my thing through the website in case this has been a landing page. I don't want you to index this content. However, let's go ahead and let you go ahead and spider my website. That's where that came from. Just technically according to how the copyright and patent was written in '96.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just the factual representation of how that's the reason why it works that way. So because you would have things that they didn't want the page index, but it would follow. Same thing with the 302 is the 302 is you would use that. Let's say I have a promotion for a worldwide retailer that goes on for the next 30 days, but I'm going to use it every other month. I'm just going to change the verbiage on it. So I want to 302 it. I want to no index it so it doesn't show up in search this week. I'm going to redirect it to a different page, which is back to the home page, but I don't want it completely removed from the catalog. That's why I'm 302ing it, not 301ing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. On a side note, just want to say hi to Disa. Hello, Disa. She's in the Q&A right now.
Cool.
Haven't seen her in a while. On a humorous note, Terry, speaking of 302s, is this. Some guy said 302s apparently passed PageRank. However, this did come from John Mueller, so I'd still be a bit skeptical. So John writes back to him, yeah, it's almost as if I have a stake in selling 302 redirects.
Oh, that's good.
I was like, well, that's pretty cheeky. All right. Oh, boy, John.
Well played, John.
Okay, so, I don't know, there's also one over on, where is it, Stone Temple here, on the 22nd. They were talking to Gary about, I still can't say that guy's last name right, so I just go with Gary. Anybody know? Well, I know Jennifer knew his pronunciation. I don't know.
It's Ilyas, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. She
Maybe I just hear people say it wrong.
Yeah.
We all know who you mean.
Yeah. The guy that everyone likes to blame things on.
Oh, John Mueller.
Both.
Apparently, let's see, on a virtual keynote they were talking, blah, blah, blah. Aiming for the first quarter of 2016, but they had to cut back on, he had to stop asking the update because they're getting irritated with him asking, apparently. So there is, no news is news. This is one of the famous no news is news stories where we don't know anything, so let's write a post about not knowing anything. Okay, there you go.
Well, something that came up in the second Q&A, I think it was, that, you know, Panda and Penguin are very old things. They're not exciting to Google. So the guys left working on this are the real hardcore, I will not rest until this is done. This isn't a major thing for Google. You know, tweaking algorithms is done all the time by hundreds of teams. Panda and Penguin are only two of the specific algorithms. And
Panda is basically based on spam reports.
It wouldn't entirely surprise me at all if that's the data set they were using.
Well, I'm just knowing that when I do spam runs on big domains where they're linking to 15, I gotta say something, around 1,000 locations for one of my clients on their web page, and they're doing it 3 or 4 times, they're going to show up in the next Panda update. You don't believe that? Look at Panda 4.0, yellowpages.com. They went too far. They did a quadruple rank or quadruple link where they were linking to the same location page on the client's website 4 times. When you take 4 times and then multiply it times plus 1,000, I can't reveal like how many, but it's a big thing. That pisses Google off, and so that's kind of where Panda comes from. Just FYI in my experience.
Sorry.
All the Panda sites that I've cleaned up were all mostly bad web development techniques. For instance, I would look at that page you talked about with 1,000 links on it, and Dave knows that's a favorite of mine, is copy to link ratio. So link text to copy text is a Panda factor. You see it quite often on pages. That one, yeah, but I don't think it's really, I think most of Panda, Steve, is based on machine learning. To be honest, that's what I see anyhow. Because to me, Panda is about showing people how to fix their sites or to make their sites more user-friendly. Because most of what I've seen when I've fixed it, I've also fixed the website. Like
yeah, but Danny Web got banged pretty bad, which has over 1 million members. It's a forum on programming, but about 1/3 of their members are Indian, and they're, it's an English-based website. So between them and other countries that are using English, they got banged really on the grammar element. The bad use of English.
There are times when, some of these places where everyone's trying to speak in English, but it's not most people's native language. It does come out as kind of machine-generated style, often because, of course, they're using the machine translation.
Yeah, exactly.